This is the Ninjago City Markets. It's pretty big and pretty impressive. And this is the Ninjago City Markets with the original OG Ninjago City. And this is even more impressive. So what would it look like if we took all 4 of the Ninjago City sets and put them together in a variety of combinations? That's what we're going to do in this video. So stick around to find out what my favorite combinations are. So Autumn and I started putting together some combinations, beginning with the city, the docks, the markets, and to the gardens. And it's really overwhelming at first when you see it. There's so much going on. It looks so good, so massive, but we made one mistake, and that is we put the docks the wrong way. That's right, you can see that we've placed it with the docks to the front rather than the other way around, and in part because that's the way they show it on the box picture, but looking at the combination here to the markets, it doesn't align very well there at all, not at all. And when you look at it from the other side, you can see that it doesn't line up with the cities either. So we need to fix that, and we do that with this second combination. Yes, the cities, the docks, the markets, the gardens, once again, this time fixing the docks. And I think this looks really good. You've got all this nice greenery going across from left to right. You've got this great combination from the docks to the markets. Check it out, going from the comic book store to the top of the city tram. Going from the docks to the city also looks really nice, as you've got this ATM by the comic store. I like the way that they do that, but check out this part right here, the markets to the temple part of the gardens. This is a really nice combination. There's a 1-plate separation between the markets and the temple, but it looks pretty good overall and flows seamlessly. Looking down the street view, here's on the left-hand side, looking from the comic book side of the city all the way down to the gardens, and there's a lot going on there. And on the right-hand side, we've got the reverse look from the gardens all the way down to the city. We decided to do another combination from the city to the markets to the docks to the gardens, so flipping around the markets and the docks, and here we found a fatal flaw. So here's the overall look of the combination, and it looks fantastic. I particularly like how you go from the markets then to the docks, except, well, check this out. So I've combined this, the markets next to the docks, and we run into a fatal flaw. This stable door is 3.5 studs wide, meaning that it goes a half of a stud beyond the edge of the markets. So it doesn't work. Did I do this wrong? Let me know in the comments below. So now we're going to fix this flaw by taking the city, putting the markets, then the temple to the docks and the gardens. So removing that 16 wide part for the temple from the gardens and putting it in the middle, allowing that overhang from that roof to go into the open space by the temple. And I think this looks pretty good. It looks a little awkward with the small temple right there in the middle, but it does flow. Again, you've got this 1-plate difference between the height of the sidewalk at the markets to the temple, but it does look good. I can't complain about it. It's nice having that temple, the shorter building right there in the middle. This might be among my favorite combinations of the 5 linearly in how they can actually work. The docks to the garden also looks good with the comic book store all the way to that restaurant there, and the city combined with the markets. I think I like this combination a little bit better than the gardens or the docks to the markets. Of course, we can flip the corners going from the gardens to the markets, then the docks and the city. Flipping the corners results in a pretty good look. We keep the markets in the middle next to the temple part of the garden set, and it's nice having just the pillars of height between the gardens and the city on the polar opposites. I think it does a nice job framing it. Looking at the transition from the gardens to the city, I like it, although I'm not sure I like it as much as putting it from the city to the markets. The museum over to the tram, though, is a nice combination. I love the combination, though, from the city to the docks, going from those advertisements to the comic book store. Gotta be honest, that looks pretty good. Before we get to my favorite layouts, can you do me a favor? Make sure you subscribe to the channel and like this video because we love putting out great content for you. So one thing we can also do is to remove the temple from the mix and go from the gardens to the docks, to the markets, and then to the city. This will still exhibit the flaw that we had earlier, a little bit of a gap between the markets and the city, but removing that small, short section of the temple looks really good. It looks very busy, as you would expect Ninjago City to be, and I like the combination there of the docks next to the markets, kind of going that tram line downward looks pretty good. Also, putting the docks next to the gardens, a good combination. Now we can get really creative here, and what if we move the corner buildings to the middle by going with the docks to the gardens, the temple, then the city, and then the markets. This alleviates the problem with the overhang from the markets, and I think does a real nice job of exhibiting how clustered this Ninjago City really can be. Check out how this looks with the temple in the middle. It's almost like it's the street separating these two monstrous corner buildings. I gotta say, this might be my favorite combination. But to do this, we do have to remove the extensions from the gardens before you combine it with the docks. So moving the lower and upper ones and then sliding those docks into the gardens. But looking from left to right, I think this looks really great. This is probably my favorite combination looking at it from the front. I love that city to the markets, the comic book store, to the tram. This middle section looks like just full of life. You've got these animals in brick-built bright colors. You've got the trees that look really good next to the city and overhanging the temple. It's not a conventional fit. It doesn't align with the Technic bricks, but I think there's something about this combination that exhibits exactly what you would expect when you have a massive, clustered, busy city. Looking at some aerial images and street, you can see overall it just looks so busy, so hectic. I really like this shot on the right-hand side of the overview of the whole thing. It just looks fantastic. Of course, we can also look at this from behind. So we can take a look at the docks to the city, to the temple, then the gardens and markets. But one of the nice things about these Ninjago City sets is that they have to look good from both the front and the back, unlike the modular buildings. And so looking at this from behind, it looks really good. I think some of the sets don't look quite as good from the behind. So for instance, I'm not a huge fan of the markets from the backside, especially with the blacksmith shop being open. And there's not a lot of room behind the markets compared to the other sets for things to be going on. But still, it's a good combination. We can switch things up by swapping the docks and the markets. And I think this is a little bit better. It puts a lot of stuff going on in the middle, which I like, especially moving from the docks to the gardens. But check out, I really like this view from the markets to the city. You've got this little mini dock here for the city. This corner plate from the markets transitions very smoothly from one set to the other. And I like that flow. I love this pocket that we see here from the back of the gardens going into the docks, yet framed with some rocks that really funnels the boats out into the open sea. I think this is a really nice combination from the back, but not quite my favorite one. And that's because my favorite layout is the gardens to the temple, to the markets, to the docks, and then to the city. Check out all that's going on there. So many colors, so many ladders and ramps and guardrails, all this random stuff that just fits together so nicely. I particularly like how the markets connect to the temple here on the back side with that angled plate on this left by the convenience store. Looks fantastic. In fact, this looks so good, I'm gonna give you a walkthrough right now. So here's a full walkthrough. Note the height of the gardens. It just, every time I look at it, it blows me away just how tall this set is. It keeps going up. As I mentioned earlier, this transition from the temple part to the city, or to the markets, is really strong. Love how you've got this small line of water that's still present there in the market set. You can access some of the things behind by boat, which I think is a nice thing. But the strength of this combination comes from this markets to the docks. That corner plate fits really nicely up there. You've got the lily pads, again, kind of help funnel the boats out to the open seas. I love that combination there. Even with the open air blacksmith shop to the docks, I think that's probably the best way for it. And keeping the docks to the city is a nice combination, kind of how LEGO originally focused on it. So here as we zoom out, you can see everything looks fantastic. I love how busy this all looks. The look from the back still looks strong, much better than looking at the back of a huge row of modular buildings, unless you customize the back sides of those. This is a really, really fun thing to look at. I know this video, we only look at straight combinations instead of some corner ones, but that's largely due to the lack of display space that we have here. But hey, if you like this video, we'll do some more combinations, especially with some corner arrangements. Quick, before you go, check out our review of this massive, incredible set, and thanks for watching, and always remember to keep building together.